The Auburn Tigers took down the Baylor Bears.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping up with the Darrell Dapprich. Darrell joining us right now from the Baylor press box in Waco. We'll get to what Hugh Freeze said. You just got back from his press conference. But first things first, Auburn took down Baylor in a game that might have been closer than it needed to, Darrell, but this team felt different. It looked different, and their quarterback had moxie. First time an Auburn quarterback has had moxie, I think, since 2019.
There were so many aspects of this game that kind of went how people thought as far as Auburn having to win. Remember the first 1-30. If Auburn can keep Baylor in the 20s. There were other things that we didn't foresee, but at the bottom line is you go on the road against a good Big 12 team and you beat them double digits.
Right.
And you don't play at a high level on the passing game or in your own secondary. So you do that, and that's a pretty strong statement. How Auburn won this game is not anything like I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
As far as the tools, right? Score? Yeah. I mean, I could see a 2-score game, but man, how they got it done is just not what I saw.
Yeah. I mean, we went in thinking, okay, the strength was the passing game, and they're not going to be able to run it effectively. and then it's just, I mean, they ran for over 300 yards, Darrell.
Yeah. How glorious is it that there was a question about this running back room and the running back by committee, and boy, did they run the ball effectively. And it was different pace, different style. I love the way Cobb ran the ball. I saw some comments as I was following along where people were like, what a drop-off. When Cobb, I'm like, he has 8 less yards on the same amount of carries, and he's a different type of runner.
Early on, there was a drop-off. Early on.
Yeah.
As the game went on, though, I mean, Cobb might have been better in the second
so
half.
That's what you want, right? And Darrell Robinson, when he starts to get comfortable and I think he starts to get his feet wet, I'm very, very relieved and pleasantly surprised at what the running back room did. Yes.
Surprised
at what the running back room did. And
it wasn't really a committee, though. Still, I mean, there were 2 guys that had 16 carries, and I predicted this. I was like, I don't think it's going to be 3 guys. I think it's going to be 2 and a drop off. It was Cobb had 16 touches. Damari had 16 touches. Jackson had 16 carries. Darrell, I think, had 2 carries.
Singleton had a couple.
He had 2. Yep. But I predicted there'd be a drop off after the second back, and that can change, right? Like, is Darrell still learning parts of the offense and all that? So it certainly could change. And honestly, like, you might want to see more Darrell over the next 2 weeks, right? Because, like, how much do you want to run these guys into the ground against teams that, you should be able to, beat with whoever. So, I mean, you're just in such a great spot right now. And I said this when I went live yesterday, Darrell, right after the game, when there's so many Auburn fans upset about the lack of production from the receiver position. And I get it. I wanted to see Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton and Malcolm Simmons put together a highlight reel against Baylor. We all did. But it's coming. You needed to, Auburn's offense against Baylor was never once about it being a finished product. Not once. It was, okay, can you show signs of improvement? Can you show that you can use talent and execute in mismatches? And they did. Come home with a win. Use these next 2 games against a lesser opponent now to continue to build the passing game. And when you go to Norman and when you go to College Station in a few weeks, you're ready to go.
We'll talk more about this when we talk about what Freeze said, but I'm going to flip this and say, if you're an Auburn fan, you need to be happy, thankful, grateful, and glad that Auburn's receiving game or the passing game, and this is going to sound weird, isn't what you thought it was going to be on this particular night, because that's coming. What could have happened is that Jackson Arnold and Hugh Freeze could have forced it and said, this is what we do, And
Yep.
what happened last year so freaking much? Force. They didn't. Jackson Arnold didn't. He said, you know what? They're not giving that to me. I'll just run it for $140 or whatever it was. That is what I've been screaming for the last 3 or 4 years is you just have to win with what the defense gives you. You can't be stubborn. You can't be prideful. And if you keep throwing it, and Freeze talked about in the press conference again, and I'll get specific about what he said, what they did defensively. But why aren't we celebrating and rejoicing that we had a quarterback that didn't force it and took what the defense gave them and won by 2 touchdowns because they did that?
It's literally what we asked for the last 2 weeks was what does Jackson Arnold need to do? Just don't lose the game. Just don't lose the game because we have time. Everything gets thrown off if Auburn loses in Baylor. Everything. Your whole roadmap to 9 wins or whatever, which I think would be a successful season. 8-4, I think we're pushing it. 9-3, you got a shot, right? That becomes almost impossible if you lose in Waco. So just don't lose. Just don't lose the game. And then you've got 2 weeks now to expand on the offense because clearly this whole narrative of Jackson Arnold's not confident. Bye-bye. That guy was having fun. The whole offense was super stoked around him. The offensive Connor Lew looked giddy at times. And we just haven't seen that culturally. We've talked about culture shifts in a lot of different angles. Culturally, the offense looked different against Baylor.
He has leadership swag, and I'm telling you, he was in the press conference with Hugh Freeze. First time I've seen that. They were side by side, and he took questions too.
He's got some aura, and
he's got some Baker Mayfield in him. And I said that a year ago, and seeing it up close and personal, he does whatever it takes to win. And on 4th and 1, they called his number. And not only did he get the first down, he basically put the game away, put the nail in the coffin with that run. And listen, don't underestimate the few. Remember how we talk about quality over quantity?
Yes.
He had 3 quality throws. The 3rd and 9 back shoulder throw to Horatio Fields that kept the drive alive that ended up being the touchdown. That was huge. The Coleman throw to the boundary was huge.
Outbreaking route. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was a throw, I think it may have been to the tight end. Or maybe it was Singleton. I can't remember. It was Singleton on a really quick flare where he got him to the sidelines and it was a good throw. And Singleton got inside the 5 and then Cobb scored on the next play. Quality throws, no interceptions, no turnovers, close on that backwards pass. Close where he got sacked. But and the one thing I talked about at the live that we did yesterday when we went halftime with you and Kyle, he has a knack, Zach. That's a nice rhyme. He has a knack for spinning the right way out of pressure. Thorne, I don't want to. A previous Auburn quarterback stepped right into the rush.
Yeah,
turned right into the sack. The guy that made the sack. He has a knack as to which direction to go. If it's spinning and reversing and getting outside, he did that 3 or 4 times. And I thought, he's done. And he reversed out and got 15 yards. You can't teach that. That's what Auburn needed, and the rest of the team kind of and look, we've got so much to look forward to. The receivers will get a lot of balls thrown their way. They will have an aerial attack. It's coming. And you make a great point. You put this one in the W column and you spend the next 2 weeks playing a lot of young kids and letting players heal up a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you played a lot of young kids tonight. Eric Winters, I can't wait to look at snap counts. Eric Winters played a ton.
Yeah.
He played a ton tonight.
He did. And his number got called. And I will say this too. They used the tight end a lot more than I thought they were going to use tonight. I mean, would they have 4 catches? The tight ends had 4 catches.
I kind of think that was game plan related. I bet that changes specifically when they go to Norman.
Yeah.
I think they thought they could come in and run the ball. And in the first half, they did okay. In the second half, they were fantastic at it. And I think they just wanted to put tight ends on the field and run it. And I also think there's some injury, some health questions. I think they want to get some of those receivers a little bit more healthy as well. I think that stuff's coming. Once again, I think the entire passing game is going to get better over the course of the season. And you've got something to build on it on. You've got a base offense now, that RPO offense, that running offense that you feel better about. And I think that says a lot about Jackson Arnold. And I think it says a ton about Hugh Freeze. And to me, I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. What did Hugh Freeze say at the press conference? I'm going to learn at the same time the rest of you guys do. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Darrell, boy, did a lot of Auburn fans use Game Time.
Oh, my goodness. They showed out. Showed out, yeah.
Incredible. You can use Game Time. I mean, it has so many different great features as far as the view from your seat. You can see like the flash deals, where it's like, hey, this deal's better than others as far as cost and section and all of that. And you can like buy a ticket in like 2 taps on your phone. It's super great. It's super easy. Darrell and I only buy tickets using Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets, specifically college football tickets. Next to home games, use Game Time. Go see these Tigers. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy Saturday. Happy Victory Saturday to everyone.
Is this not the best? When your team banks a win on a Friday night and you watch college football all Saturday and that W is already in the bank and you can watch it relaxed and just fun, right? So, yeah, that's awesome. A big thing. And awesome. I will say this about the fans that showed up. Zach, I've gone to football games and covered football games for a very long time. This was the hottest game I've ever been a part of.
Interesting. Really?
Kickoff was 91 degrees, 70% humidity. And let me tell you what they did in the press box. And I'm not trying to – they love environment. So me and Ferg were talking about it. It like made us physically ill. They opened the windows up in the press box, and it was literally like hot air blowing in. Gross. Because they want the sounds and all that. It was oppressive. And for the fans, especially because on the Auburn side was in the sun for about an hour and a half, to just still be loud and vocal. All this pregame talk about BYU traveled better than anybody, that Auburn will not come close to what BYU brought. And now everyone at Baylor is telling me as I'm going out that you guys showed out more than Baylor. I'm BYU. There was more fans, and there was. So that's awesome. Kudos to them. It was a miserable environment as far as heat. It just was.
All right. So you just like literally minutes before you sat down, you just got back from Hugh Freeze. Admittedly, we're in a time crunch, so I usually like to catch up, so I kind of can talk about this with you. But the press box is closing at Baylor in a few minutes, so we had to go ahead and go. So I don't even know what to ask you. Like, tell me what I need to know.
Sure, I'll go over some highlights. His opening statement was how excited he was that don't ever take a win like this for granted. He knew they were going to be they're very, very veteran laden. He was very proud of the way this team played. He pointed out conditioning was a little bit of a disappointment to him. He said, I don't know if it was the heat or we didn't prepare, but we were a little bit more tired than I thought. But he gave Baylor's offense a lot of that credit, how they spread you out, how they make you chase sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
He talked about the game plan was to run it, and that they saw early on that Aranda was going to run 2 high safeties and give Auburn the run, and he took it. And he said it was so frustrating for him and Jackson Arnold to not be able to throw it more. He said it just was. And he said, I wanted to do it, but it wasn't there.
How refreshing is that?
Yeah, he admitted. He's like, and we've got playmakers. He goes, man, we got playmakers on offense. We got one of the best receivers. And we really didn't want to force it to them. And so he talked about, basically using the tight ends a little bit more. That he knew going into this game that Jackson Arnold could have a big game running the football. And then I asked the question, different points during games, you can tell, Zach, they're huge momentum swings.
Sure.
And every time Baylor got to within 7, Auburn would score and make it a 2-score game. To me, the biggest one where I felt the air go out of the stadium was the Pleasant kickoff return. And he made a point to say he got all over him earlier in the game when he called a fair catch from the 3. And he told Chad Lunsford, he said, you tell that boy to run it. If he gets it in field to play, I don't want him fair catching. I want him taking it. And he said, that's exactly what he did. It's exactly what we got him. And he also said, don't just limit his impact to this team on special teams. He is going to really help us defensively.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and obviously, we don't have enough time to talk about the defense, but we will this week. Like, there's a lot of concerns, but like Baylor threw it so many times, and Baylor's going to get yards.
Well, he
through
told
the air.
One thing he said that was interesting because a lot of people were so frustrated about the secondary and how they played, and we thought they were going to be a strength in this team. He said Baylor does a lot of things with slants and crossing patterns that it's hard to defend no matter how good of a secondary you have, but the problem was, he said, Auburn secondary didn't do a good job of tackling. So when you catch that cross across the middle, you got to bring the guy down right away. When he runs that slant, and he said that they just were not tackling. They weren't wrapping up. And the yards after the catch, Zach, were atrocious with these receivers.
Yeah. Some of it was Michael Trigg. Like that guy, like, I mean, I don't know if he's elite, but he was Friday night. That's for dang sure. And then there was a lot of it, and some people are saying it's tackling. I'm like, no, like I don't think it was all that. But if I'm playing Auburn next week, I am running in breaking routes because we had no inside leverage whatsoever, and I am throwing passes. I'm throwing hot. Get the ball, throw it like behind the line of scrimmage, and say, "Come get me."
You may have to see Champ Anthony move back inside and let one of these freshmen play safety next to Caleb Harris. Or Sylvester Smith moved back to the say, because that inside leverage you're talking about, it wasn't there. And there was no, and remember, until he got hurt last year, Champ Anthony did a really good job doing that. And he was also a safety that covered a receiver in the back of the end zone one-on-one and broke up a play, the 4th down play that ended up being huge.
Yeah.
Instead of them going up 10-0. So I don't know. Maybe you do that, but you know the beauty about that? You have 2 weeks and 2 group of 5 opponents to do that against, to try to figure it out, to try to get in the lab and do some things to, change it up a little bit.
Yeah. Hugh Freeze say more stuff?
Yes.
That's coming up in just a moment, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Supply House. Boy, are getting parts fast important. Darrell, you run a business, you run a company, you run into this all the time. Supply House, they've got over 280,000 items regarding plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and they can get to your doorstep as soon as tomorrow.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Incredible. When you got to fix things, you got to get those parts in there quick.
That's right. That's right. Hey, you can join the free Trade Master program today. You can score serious perks that include priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line, which is big. If you want somebody right away, you can get them. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day, especially on days like today where there's so many different game recaps that you could be going to. There's literally millions of options. We're so glad that you're here. We're so glad that you're here. It means a ton. It means a ton. What else did Hugh Freeze touch on that we need to get to before we wrap up, Darrell?
Sure. Two really important things. He talked about how the plan was to play one quarterback, and Deuce Knight and Ashton Daniels was in his ear the whole game saying, let me run this. It's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. Put me. Yeah, he said they were in his ear. And
Why?
He said, I knew that Jackson Arnold could make plays with his legs. I don't need to call special play. And I know that's music to a lot of people's ears. The second thing was,
I don't think I like that.
That what?
Why are the other quarterbacks asking to go in?
I guess that they're, and he made the joke that he said, Deuce Knight is always in my ear. So he said, that
information.
He said, that quarterbacks, they told him, that quarterbacks are the best playmakers on the team. And he's like, yeah. And so he made a big joke about it, but I thought it was very important. why I always say that is because there were a lot of people so in a wad about the 3 quarterback comment and so in a wad about could there be packages, and he stayed away from that and did exactly what he was supposed to do.
No, and there were situations where it would have made if it ever makes sense. Like that's typically when you see him. But Jackson was so good on the ground. Like, why would you take an attempt away from him tonight?
No, and then
it was like explosive stuff, and it was like north and south. He wasn't like running around.
Separation, yeah.
He has a gear that I did not know he had.
I didn't either. And it's very, very surprising when you see it in person, right? It's like you're like, so the other thing is my phone was getting blown up by people wanting to know about Amaris Williams. So when the press conference was over,
yes,
I walked up to Coach Freeze at the table. We exchanged pleasantries. We talked, and then I said, "Hey, I got
pleasant."
Yes. I said I got people blowing up my phone about Amaris. He said he's fine, 100% fine. He said he even went back in the game. So,
okay.
For people that were concerned about that, I had a lot of people asking me, "Hey, Dap, ask about Amaris. Ask about Amaris."
Well, that was kind of the thing with Damari too, because it looked like he came off like not moving his arm or whatever, but
he got landed on. He got landed on.
Yeah,
and, that's maybe next week you don't play him. You don't play Wright got banged up.
Carries,
Wade got banged up. Right. You let Mabson and Cobb and Darrell and. Anyway, that's the beauty about depth, and you get them healthy for when you go to Norman.
I said this when I went live, but there's so many different angles to talk about, and we'll talk about the defense and more special teams and why we're still getting penalties on special teams. We'll talk about that all week. But the storyline is Jackson Arnold.
Yes.
Like, he blew me away. I mean, I was pretty skeptical on the whole thing over like the last month.
Can I make this real simple for you? I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Does Auburn win that game tonight without Jackson Arnold?
I don't know.
Well, let me put it this way. The quarterbacks that have taken the field the last 3 or 4 years for Auburn after Bo Nix, if they are inserted in the lineup, do they win this game tonight or last night?
So I think the difference between this year's team and last year's team, and quarterback is a big part of it, not all of it, but a big part of it, is the start was so bad. And we saw the start be bad at a lot of games last year. And like the moment where, okay, Baylor goes down and kicks a field goal, you go 3 and out, Baylor goes down, and then, thankfully they go for it on 4th down and you stop them. But at that moment, like when they get that big pass and it's like, oh, we're about to be in a hole, I don't think last year's team reacts the same way. And some of that has to do with offense, right? And the quarterback. I mean, it seemed like you would see Peyton Thorne, the offense under another quarterback, Peyton, TJ, Robbie. I mean, all the quarterbacks that we've had since Bo, starts flat and they never find it. And then Jackson's like, all right, like, let's do a 96-yard drive now and say that, hey, we're here. And it was beautiful, Darrell. It was a thing of beauty. And like that drive, that first score, it just had so much weight on it. It's like, when's it going to happen? Or are we going to have to wait a long time? And another thing is, like, how many times did we see Auburn get the ball or start a drive, whether it was special teams or a turnover or whatever, within their own 10, and they just, like, it felt like we were just like getting like, all right, let's just live to punt. Like, it really felt that way.
Right.
And then went on, and like the weight of that drive, I think, was such a relief for so many people. And I don't think you get that without Jackson Arnold.
Keep in mind too that a lot of the things that absolutely killed Auburn last year reared their ugly head in this game too.
Correct.
The difference was Auburn just shook it off and overcame it. 3rd and 16, first drive, boom, they get a first down. 4th and 9, they get a touchdown.
Right.
Auburn, how many penalties did Auburn commit that just kept drives alive or killed them? Those 2 false starts in a row. And guess what Auburn did on that drive? Scored a touchdown. Yeah. Overcame 1st and 20. The hold on the Jackson Arnold run towards the sideline that got called back when he got a first down. Overcame it. They didn't miss field goals. They didn't miss extra points.
Right.
they still did some things that drive you crazy as an Auburn fan that you saw flashes. It was PTSD from last year of like, why are they doing it again? Why can't they get off the
illegal
field?
formation on punt? What is going on there?
Holding, pass interference.
Them running into the returner on that other punt in the first half. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, how do you let this continue to happen?
So many times last year, I used the term self-inflicting wounds. And let's be honest, Auburn had a lot of those tonight or last night, but they overcame them and won by 2 touchdowns. That's the scary part.
That's right.
You clean those up.
That up, develop a passing game.
And because the balance is going to be the key. If you run into a SEC defense that says, we're not going to let Auburn rush for 100 yards, then what are you going to do? Well, then Jackson Arnold is going to have to go over the top with Cam and Singleton and Malcolm. And Malcolm had a nice catch. That was the other catch I was thinking of, the Malcolm catch where he threw a dart 28 yards, right? That was
that seam route. That was pretty early on.
Yeah, it was Malcolm, Cam, and Horatio.
When that play happened, it healed something inside of me.
Yes.
It's like, a seam? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. To Malcolm, like you're getting guys involved. Now, sadly, I don't think Malcolm got the ball again, or even a target. But no, he got one other target. But all in all, like, you did it what you needed to do. There's so much to improve on. You've got 2 weeks to do it before you go to Norman. That's great. What else can you ask for? What else can you ask for?
You won by 14 on the road. Against one of the most potent offenses. Auburn's defense will not see a aerial attack. They'd be pressed to as good as this one the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know exactly what John Mateer is going to be. We don't know exactly what Marcel Reed's next step in development is at A&M. Georgia's not going to have an offense like that.
Kentucky, Vanderbilt. I mean, Pavia is not that type of dude. Pavia is just do whatever it takes to win, you know.
Yeah, Taylor Green in Arkansas. Like, I'm really high on Taylor, but like not that kind of offense. So it's a Big 12 thing. Like, this is what Big 12 football games look like.
That's why they're in the 40s. I mean, literally, if Baylor was playing another Big 12 defense, that game would have been 44-41, something like that, right? That's what it would have been. And
that's right.
We kept saying, you're not going to – even Hugh Freeze says we did not look as fast tonight as I've seen us look earlier in the year. He said, so I don't know what the problem is with that or what the issue is. But even him saying that, that's a different defense than Baylor's used to seeing. And we've said that we've said that all offseason.
Sure. Yeah, not worried about defense. Now, if it continues to happen in a month from now, sure. Yeah. I'll be concerned. But I don't think we're there yet. Enjoy the dub. Quit focusing on negative stuff. Darrell Dapprich, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Tonight, tomorrow, the whole weekend, today, DAP 6410. There's going to be a lot of fun things on X. And then obviously back with you Wednesdays and Fridays. And I'm sure we'll go live with Kyle Rush tomorrow night, and talk about this dub too.
Yeah. And I think we'll drop a show Sunday morning. You and I should be able to get together for that. That's right. Well. So
we're going to do that.
That'll be fun. So make sure you're subscribed. Please like the video if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're tuned in on audio, please subscribe, leave a review. Helps the show out a ton. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.